Vietnam's fairy tale, the tale of Hoan Kiem Lake, or the Lake of the Return Source. During the time that the Minh invaders set the rule in the Đại, they treated Viet people like grass. They did a lot of tyrannical deeds, and people hated them terribly. In the Lam Sơn mountainous region, there was a strong uprising of the rebels against the Minh. However, the troop was still thin and inexperienced. They suffered failures most of the times. Seeing so, the Dragon King decided to lend them the divine source so that they could kill the enemy. At that time, in Thanh Hoa province, there was a fisherman named Lê Thẳng. One night, Thẳng cast his net in a deserted section of the river as usual. When pulling up the heavy net, he was overjoyed with the thought that there must have been a big fish. However, when reaching into the net to take the fish, Thẳng found only one iron bar. Thẳng threw it right away into the water, then dropped his net at another place. The second time lifting the net, he felt heavy again, and this time the same iron bar got into his net. He took it out and threw it into the river the second time. For the third time, the same iron bar got stuck in the net. Feeling so weird, Thẳng brought it close to the fire for a careful look, then happily shouted, "Aha! A sword blade!" Later, Thẳng joined the Lam Sơn rebel troop. He was zealous, brave, and never denied danger. One day, General Lê Lợi and his followers went to Thẳng house. In the dark thatched hut, the iron bar that day suddenly shined brightly in the corner. So surprised, Lê Lợi took the blade and saw the words "Heaven's will" etched into the source. Still, nobody knew this source blade was a treasure. One day, chased by the enemy, Lê Lợi and his generals fled all over the directions. When walking through a forest, Lê Lợi suddenly saw a strange light on the top of a banyan tree. He climbed up and found that it was a jewel encrusted sword hilt. Remembering the blade at Lê Thẳng house, Lê Lợi took that hilt and tucked it on his belt. 3 days later, Lê Lợi met all his friends, including Lê Thẳng. Lê Lợi told everyone about his catching of the sword hilt. When fixing the sword blade to the hilt, it was just perfect. Lê Thẳng raised his sword to the forehead and said to Lê Lợi, "This is heaven's intention to choose you for the great work. We vow to bring our flesh and bones to follow your excellency, together with these swords, to pay tribute to our fatherland." Since then, the spirit of the troop had risen a lot. In Lê Lợi hand, the divine swords fought across the battlefields, making the Minh army fight. The reputation of the rebels was well known everywhere. They did not have to hide as before. Now they went after the enemy. They did not have to eat scantily like before. Now there were food storehouses taken from the enemy, adding to their supplies. The divine source opened the way for them to expand all over until there was not a single enemy left in the country. 1 year after the time Minh invaders been expelled, Lê Lợi, now a king, one day rode the dragon boat around Tả Vọng Lake in front of the capital. Taking the occasion, the Dragon King sent the golden turtle to reclaim the divine source. As the dragon boat headed out in the middle of the lake, there appeared a giant turtle, lifting its head and shell out of the water. At the king's command, the boat slowed down. Standing on the side of the boat, the king felt that the divine source won as his head, shaking slightly. The golden turtle was not afraid of people. It raised its head higher and headed towards the king's boat. It stood floating on the water and said, "May your majesty return the source to the Dragon King." The king drew his sword and threw it at the golden turtle. As quick as a flash, the turtle opened its mouth to grab the sword and dive into the water. Both the sword and the turtle went to the bottom of the water, and the glittering light could still be seen beneath the surface of the blue lake. Since then, Ta Phọng Lake bears the name the Lake of the Return Source, or Hoan Kiem Lake in Vietnamese.